All right, we'll get started in about 1 minute, everyone. For some reason, Crumbeer, I can only see you and I. There's Miranda. Hey, Miranda, good morning.
Yeah, we can just ask
Good morning.
everyone to switch on their videos.
Oh, well, if they feel comfortable. Good morning, Angel. Thanks for joining.
Good morning.
Oh, you're on mute.
I have to jump off a little early. I have another Zoom call at 11, but I wanted to tune in.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're excited to have you here. All right, well, we will go ahead and get started. Hey, everyone. Just have a really quick little intro here. All right. So, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. And Cranberry, you're on admittance. Is that correct? Thank you. All right, here we go. All right, welcome everyone to to this month's Evolving in Education Focus Group. We're thrilled to have you all join today. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss pressing challenges in our education system, explore innovative solutions, and bolster collaborative efforts. So for those of you who are new here, Evolving in Education is a newly formed global 501c3 educational nonprofit on a mission to revolutionize the learning environment of public education and empower educators and learners to thrive. To learn more about our initiatives and programs, please visit our website at evolvingineducation.org. We will begin with a couple of polls designed to help us understand your perspectives and set the stage for our discussion. Please take a moment to participate. All right, here we go. I'm going to launch a couple of polls quickly. And this one is just to kind of get a gauge of how you heard about us. So if you don't mind, give a little vote. We'll just allow about 20 seconds for this poll. All right, wow, all across the board. Cool. Exciting. Okay. Just 20 seconds. All right, now I'm going to share the results. Looks like friends and colleagues is the top choice. Fantastic. Okie dokie. All right, one more quick poll. There we go. How many years experience do you have in education? We're interested in learning. 20 plus years. Wow. Very cool. Looks like we have some seasoned educators here. All right, coming up on 20 seconds. All right, I'm going to share the results here. Wow, lots of you guys with 20 plus years. That's very impressive. Okie dokie. Oh, I didn't share the results yet. I apologize. There we go. Fantastic. All right, moving right along. Now it's time for some fun. I'm going to throw a link in the chat, and if you guys would click the link or scan this QR code so we can see where everyone is located. This is a neat app I found on the Learning Planet Institute call. It's called Mentimeter. It's a really neat little deal. I'm trying to copy the link now. Apologies. All right, I'm throwing that in the chat, and I'm going to throw up the QR code if you guys would rather just scan it. All right, here's the QR code. Can you guys see that? Awesome. So you can scan it or click the link in the chat. Hide my controls. All right, so we have the deep blue sea and Florida. Very cool. Missouri, awesome. See people calling in from all over today.
I'm not seeing the link in chat, Amber.
Yeah, the link's missing there.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Let me see here. Throw it back in the chat. Nothing but a little bit technical issues, technical difficulties. We're all familiar with that, I'm sure. Oh, I accidentally sent it to Miranda. I apologize, y'all. All right, here we go. There's the link. Oh, we have a lot of answers here. Can you guys still see the Mentimeter on the screen? Oh, Canterbury, UK, Dominican Republic, Ottawa, Canada. Very cool. California, awesome. I haven't thrown mine up there yet. In Alabama, Mexico, cool. Oh, there's Alabama, awesome.
I can't see the link at all,
Oh
or
no,
the,
I'll throw the QR code back up. Are you able to see that QR code, John?
and what do? You stick my phone on top of it?
Yes,
And
sir.
press-
Get your camera app up, and if you just hold it up, the camera up to it, it'll give you a little yellow link to click on.
I think I've done that. I see.
David,
Amber, nice to see you.
nice to see
your
you.
chair over there as well.
Thank you so much for
Karambe.
joining.
Hmm.
All right, so it looks like we have people calling in from all over today. That's fantastic. Again, thank you guys so much for joining. Wow, Colombo, Sri Lanka, very cool. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and we will move on. So based on participants, which it looks like we have plenty today, we may create breakout rooms for more focused discussions. And now I'd like to share with all of you educators a giveaway that we're doing on our Evolving in Education Facebook page. It is for teachers, and it's a $100 gift card to Target. All you have to do is comment on the post your favorite teaching tip, and you'll be entered to win. I shared the link in the chat. If anyone has any trouble, just let me know. We're announcing the winner the 1st of August. So we're excited about that to give back to the community. We love supporting educators. All right, so now it's time for our last poll to gather further insights from everyone and perhaps land on a topic to kick off our open discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this final poll. I really appreciate you guys' participation. All right, we're going to do challenges in education. So depending on the results of this, we could, use that to start on our open discussion. Okay, looks like it's gonna allow about 20 seconds for this one as well. All right, looks like votes are still coming in. Looks like student mental health is in the lead. All right, so I'm gonna share the results. Dokie. Thank you guys for participating in that poll as well. Now we will move on to our open discussion. This is a time for us to brainstorm and uncover innovative solutions. We encourage you to share your thoughts, experiences, and ideas and suggestions freely. At Evolving in Education, we value the importance of open, respectful, and constructive dialogue. So, does anyone have any significant challenges with mental health in the classroom that they would like to share to start off our open discussion?
I could just talk about a personal incident as well, not just from a professional standpoint. I'm a parent to two young children. They're in a IG CSC school board, or which later becomes an IB board. It's not a very large school. And the ratings, popularity ratings are quite high, but I had the opportunity to be a parent representative for one of the grades with the school. And I was interacting with the school, the interaction was quite healthy to begin with, but eventually me and the parents were invited by the principal of the school and to discuss the complaints that the parents had sent. Now, over the so every semester that I think it was a biannual meeting with the parent representatives. So in our second meeting, there were about 11 complaints that had come in from the parents about different issues. How the teachers were teaching, from how the teachers were teaching to how there was lack of toilet paper in the bathrooms. So all those issues were there. The attitude of the principal, unfortunately, was not welcoming or even open to discussing the complaints productively.
Mm.
Her attitude was to walk out and to suggest that if we had so many complaints, that we should look for an alternative school. So maybe she was having a bad day. Uh, but there is a larger issue at play here. And, it spreads out to all the teachers. It spreads out to how they're interacting with each other and the children, what the children get, what they are able to look forward to coming to a school where you're creating that kind of an atmosphere. So it's not restricted to one school. There are issues like this across the board. And, I guess more people are realizing it, but more action needs to be accepted by the people affected themselves, the teachers and the students.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Karanvir. That's very interesting. Would anyone else like to share on the topic?
I think I've got a pretty unique job in that I work with 28 schools. I left a state level job because, and I'm going to try to say this as nice as possible, but it might not come off nice. I got tired of the talk and none of the walk, if that makes sense. We had meetings to plan meetings and there were kids suffering. So I left a very high paying state level job and came to work for a phenomenal school system. I do challenging behaviors through an educational neuroscience lens. So my background is ed neuro, which is pretty unique. And everything that gentleman just said is 100%. I almost see it as fear, with a fear of what else can we do? We don't want to hurt our teachers. They'll leave. A principal told me 20 years ago, the people I wouldn't have even interviewed, I am now hiring because the interview stacks are so low, right? So there's this really indifferent balance. Like I said, get to work alongside teachers to help them shift that lens to neuroscience to see the kids different. What I find is teachers will say, I didn't go to school to be a counselor. That's mental health's job. I hear you, but the brain does not operate in sections. So if you don't understand stress and trauma and technology impact on the brain, they're never going to get good grades. You're not going to make state standards. It's going to impact your job. So that's a great way to bring teachers in to kind of getting this mental health piece addressed in the classroom. I think admin are trying. They're almost hopeless now because they feel like they've tried everything, and every day we have initiative fatigue. I mean, I'm in the world of ed neuro. Every day I open my emails to a brand new product promising brand new stuff, right? And it's always this new world. So I just want to validate that I don't think it's apathy. I think it's cognitive overload. In other words, it's not that they don't care, it's they don't know what to do next. So the only thing they got to give you is fear or aggression, if that makes sense. But seeing it through that cognitive overload piece instead of apathy helps me not go in angry.
No.
That's just what I've seen.
Wonderful. And that work that you're doing is very important as well. What we consider to be a product that a lot of people are selling on the market, if we change that around to understand that we need it as a skill, and allow that understanding, because the resources are available to learn the skill. It's about being able to regulate your thoughts, emotions, and behavior. And that is something that we've brought into EIE's curriculum and learning approach as well. We understand that apart from the 4 C's of 21st century skills, the importance of maintaining cognitive balance as well, and understanding the need for that. So that has the neuroscientific foundation to it, and it's something that we would want to promote as a skill, not a product.
Right, David, I believe you had something to add there.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for sharing, Joy. That was really spot on. And I'm glad to see here so many familiar faces. I hope that more of you become familiar faces. I just wanted to contribute to that conversation because I really agree with it. That I think a key is to see children as human beings, right? It's human beings with a whole self, emotional, psychological, trauma experiences, whole life experiences. And I think I would, rather than kind of production machines that need to produce grades or need to produce something. And I think an approach that has worked for us has been to also see teachers, educators, everyone involved in the educational system also as human beings. So so while one approach might be, let's focus on children's mental health straight away, which is completely valid and necessary. Another one can be, let's focus on teachers' mental health, because if they are not balanced, if they cannot practice active listening, if they cannot be really present in the moment to see when a child actually needs their help or needs a space to a different situation, and then it can be quite problematic. And actually, when we do these things and we provide this kind of support to adults, then that's something that they internalize, and it becomes way easier for them to replicate it in their own classrooms. So yeah, just sharing that this kind of holistic support to everyone, it can be quite beneficial.
Very, very insightful. Thank you for sharing, David. Joy, I believe you have your hand raised there.
Yeah, what I found is the kids are coming with more letters behind their names than in their names, right? So you get a new student and they have ADHD, ODD, CD, and teachers get so afraid. But if we teach teachers the foundational knowledge of neuro, and that a diagnosis is not a sentence to prison, it's just how the brain processes information. So ADHD is a Ferrari for brain, bicycle brakes. ODD is, just another way of seeing how that brain works. What I find is their self-efficacy rises. And then when that next student comes in, they're like, okay, wait, I got this because I understand the brain. We're developing a neuroeducator track where it's going to take 9 months, where we literally go through building educators who have a foundation in neuroscience in the schools I work with, and they become seeds in their building to keep the facts going and not get wrapped up in the emotions. At night, I teach in prisons and in recovering addicts for reunification for their kids in neuroscience. And so seeing the end product of what doesn't happen when the right interventions come is also very beneficial to tell teachers. These inmates are literally craving information about their brain because no one told them, look, you've had trauma. So now you're going to have a little more high impulsivity and low emotional reg. Let me show you how to work through that. Does that make sense? And once teachers realize that they have to lend their frontal lobes to these kids, then they're starting to understand the processes. So I am extremely passionate about neuroscience, but I will say one more thing and then I'll be quiet. We have this huge push for mindfulness, and I am a huge practitioner of mindfulness. I huge, the research, the neuro research through the roof. What I'm finding is in this day and age, my kids can't practice mindfulness. They cannot sit with themselves for more than 2 breaths, forget 3 or 5. I have started using, and I know I'm late to the game, a therapy dog. And today's therapy dog day, which is why I'm in a t-shirt. But with my most violent children, what I find is when they're petting his fur and they're saying, Miss Joy, look at how brown he is. Miss Joy, feel his nose. They're in a moment of mindfulness. And I can say, take a breath with me. And I can breathe. And then the mirror neurons kick in and it drops their cortisol. That dog has been a bridge for me to some of my most violent kids because I can get that cortisol to drop and then I can slide in and start working with them. And it's not something, and even taking him to the prisons with the inmates, it's their one time they can be vulnerable without worrying someone's going to judge them. So I'm really been fascinated with using this therapy dog, but schools have them, but y'all, they're not using them correctly, right? So they have them and they're just walking the halls. When you have this dog, help the kid dial into mindfulness. Help the child dial into what are we going to do next time you feel this big emotion in this little container, as I say, right? Big emotions, little containers. How are you going to move through this? And having something as non-confrontational as a dog. And let me just say, my dog is a 110-pound bull mastiff. He's not lethal, but the kids adore him. So that's something to throw out too, is all these schools are getting service dogs and therapy dogs, but I don't see them using them as a tool. I see them just being in the building. And I think we've got to really build up that resource because it can help. I'll mute. I swear I'll be quiet.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's very enlightening. It's great to hear all of that. And Angel, I believe you had your hand up there.
Yes. First of all, Joy, I would love to just talk to you for hours someday. I'm kind of have been on a hiatus from the group, but kept in touch with Amber here and there. But I have my certification in the neurosequential model for education for trauma-informed teachers. And I just want to say something about the dog first before I forget. I'm really into grounding and the breathing. And I read and I talked to our high school or our middle school counselor about this. She has a therapy dog. And I read that the reason animals like that work so well with these kids is because we as a society have ungrounded them. We've put, rubber soles on their feet. We tell them not to go outside and get dirty. And animals are naturally grounded. They're always on the ground. So grounding them, it really grounds them and calms them and connects them to their center. So I always call myself a newfound hippie, but there's something to it. The other thing is I've done professional development on trauma-informed strategies for the classroom, and I get the same reaction. We're not therapists, we're not counselors, but it's a mindset, I think, that needs to take place because you kind of have to address that first before you can address the academics, or the academics will never happen. And one of my very good friends and we kind of go round and round. She's like, I did not go to college for this. And I'm like, I know, but you did go to college to be an educator, and you understand that our society is constantly changing, and this is just part of society now. And it's who we have to be, and we have to teach these regulation techniques and get to the nitty-gritty before we can teach the academics. So Joy, I would love to connect with you, and probably everybody else here, but I hear what you're saying. I love all this stuff.
All right.
David, you want to?
Yeah, just the
Join in
topic
there?
of mindfulness is one that's been really present in my in my life recently, and particularly in education. We're at the moment collaborating to bring a technique that is called awareness through the body. That is pretty much a mindfulness technique developed for children. It was developed in India, actually, in the town of Auroville. You might have heard about it, Karambir, maybe. It's kind of a world-known place for holistic therapies and so on. And a group of people that knew about physiotherapy, yoga, theater, Tai Chi, martial arts, and a bunch of things met together supporting the schools in this town because they found, oh, the children didn't have. Initially, they contacted the physiotherapists, thinking about the posture of the children and so on. But then as they stay over there, they notice, well, it's not the posture, it's the posture is showing I don't know, some sort of contraction because of fear or because they feel uncomfortable. They don't understand what's going on within them. And then they started developing this methodology for the last 20 years, which is pretty much full of games of attention, concentration, collaboratively, feeling each other's energy, emotions, trying to interact with each other, identifying your classmates just with your eyes closed, just through our hands, all these sort of things that just bring a deep level of awareness and concentration, and that yeah, I've taken a couple of workshops, and it's kind of you know, you have to go through lots of vipassanas to reach the level of awareness that you can get in one of these sessions, and I was really amazed. That's why after going through this, I was like, we need to bring this to more people. So now we're applying for some funding for a European project to try to test it in a few schools and see whether we can replicate it. Because what happened was that it stayed in that town for a really long time, just improving the methodology. There's a couple of books written and so on, but there's really very few trainers of this methodology, really just 4 in all the world. And we're very close friends with one of them. So we're kind of in that process of developing this project to bring it to more people, to get more trainers. So this technique doesn't disappear with them, because obviously it's the tools, but it's also the awareness and mindset that they themselves have to be able to facilitate this properly. Yeah, just sharing that there. But I'm sure there's tons of different tools that are valuable for mindfulness, and really not you know, bound to any one thing that is going to work, but really a mix of things and lots of possibilities that can help in education.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing, David. And for those of you that don't know of David and Luz, they're from Evolving Education. They do a 3-month teacher training program called the Learning Expedition. And I just graduated that, and it was a transformative experience. I learned so much, and really it was incredible. All right, let's hear from John Rainford.
Hi, everyone. I'm passionate about changing education, changing health, changing well-being globally. And I'm very keen on, you know, your journey to see if I can help in any way. What I've noticed and what I'm passionate about is the way neuroscience affects behavior. And I've managed to do this in industry and change the culture of large organizations through aspects of neuroscience. In other words, understanding motivations, why people do things, why people behave the way they do, etc., etc. And I've drawn from neuroscience to change the culture of organizations, and this is multicultural organizations. And I'm trying to bring this now into schools. And I understand, as we all know, that schools have a particular policy, which is basically a brick wall to new ideas and new innovative practices. So I'm trying to work with some global health charities, which are changing the education in all countries. It's meant to be not just third world, but right across the board, and for the educational process to be free. About to be working, I'm hoping, with aspects of the UN authorities. I'm doing a workshop in Dubai, which looks at how we can work with young people to get them to self-manage their emotions and be more effective themselves in society, more responsible. I've also worked with some prisons as well to change the direction of we call them wayward children, call them whatever you want. But the point is that I think society is letting them down. We're not actually supporting them in the way that we should. And I think we all know globally, education is not actually working, neither is health and well-being. And we need to plant some seeds so that self-actualization can occur, and right across the board. No, it's not just about children and mental health, it's about teachers understanding what mental health is, and leadership, and setting an example, if we can say that way, and parents, and bringing everybody as stakeholders into the play, which is the journey, but teach them practice that works, but allow them to choose. So I'm in the business of empowerment, not dictating this is what you should be doing or saying or thinking, but actually freeing up the individuals to make decisions for themselves, which they need guidance for. We all need guidance. Nobody's a genius that says we can do everything. We all need a guidance, but what do we actually reach out to? So I'm working with some people around the world, including yourselves, about introducing best practice. And this is not a diktat. It's not, this is the way it's got to be done if you want to be happy or whatever. It's actually some tools that allow for teachers to have a blended approach to children's learning, and that they can absorb themselves. I think that everybody can, in the whole world, can be the best they can be, but not if these systems actually aren't there to support that. So I'm trying to bring systems into play that are not restrictive, but are liberating for processes. I don't know if that makes any sense. Sounds like a bit of a speech. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you,
But I'm
John.
passionate about it.
It's awesome to hear. It's great to have you here and to hear the great work you're doing. Hoda, I believe you have your hand up as well.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to share an experience that boy, I'd like to see perpetuated through every school in the world. My children had the privilege of going to a private school here, and one of the approaches of many amazing ones was if a child hurt another child, they were asked to go to that child with the teacher, kind of, mediating, and the teacher would say, ask the child who was hurt, tell me what happened and why you were hurt. And then the teacher would ask the perpetrator of that hurt to tell her what feelings the other person is having right now, what impact their words or actions are having on the person they're looking at right now, which to me was pretty amazing, because it now is instilling mindfulness or awareness in students and putting them in a position where they can help each other, and the teacher isn't always the mediator. So there were many instances like that where children were asked to participate as part of a learning experience. The other thing I just wanted to say was, it's too bad that the people, as you were saying, Joy, who were just being who wouldn't have been interviewed, are now being hired. I had experience with a couple of teachers like that with my children. And in corporate America, you interview people, right? And you decide if they can do the job or not. And I've seen teachers that have worked with my children that have turned them off the subject that's being taught just by not being attentive. Or I had one teacher tell me, I know your daughter is struggling, but unless she comes to me, I'm not going to reach out to her. And I thought, wow, that's just crazy. So that was a science teacher. I don't know why they were teaching, but my daughter got turned off of science. So there's that aspect too.
Thank you for sharing, Hoda. Hate to hear that the troubles. I see Richard, you have your hand up, and Kate, thank you for joining. We're currently discussing, this is an open discussion on challenges in education. We started off with the challenges in mental health. Richard, let's hear from you, and Kate, we'd love to hear from you as well.
Hi, thanks, Amber. Hello to all, especially to David. Good to see you. It's been a while since we've been on a call together. Amber, am I able to post something in chat? It looks like it's limited to the hosts.
Oh no, is that what's going on again? If you want to send it to me, I'm happy to send it, Richard. I apologize. I thought I got this sorted out. Oh wait, here we go. All right, that should be good. I'm always struggling with technology, learning a little more every day.
There we go.
Are you able
Yes.
to get?
So I think this should show up then. Do you see mental health equals
Yes, sir.
social justice
job,
plus self-determination?
Mhm.
The Canadian Mental Health Association, the Ottawa branch, and I live in Ottawa, has as its two top core values social justice and self-determination. And when it comes to education, I translate that into democratic schools. I don't know how familiar people are with them, but those are schools that, from a social justice point of view, nobody goes into them feeling inferior or superior to anybody else. It's we're just all people. We're here to learn together, teachers and students together. So and it's not, I state that like it's an ideal. It is an ideal. It's not necessarily happening everywhere. Where you see it in good action is with the School Circles film. And what I'm getting at here, really, it comes back to what you were saying, John. You kind of sparked me on this little rant, and it's that the democratic schools provide for us a route to change systems. A lot of what we do right now is try to provide remediation for children in systems that aren't working for them. So how do we create a system that will work for them? And there's a lot of work being done right now. I have local learning ecosystems as a little heading in chat there. And the Learning Planet Institute holds a festival each year in January around the International Day of the Child. And they're promoting this idea of local ecosystems of learning, community learning ecosystems, which potentially can be networked globally. And so we have the promise of how to provide education that leads to.
Oh no, Richard froze.
Yeah, I think we lost Richard.
Oh, well, hopefully he will be back soon. Apologies for that.
Now we're
Oh.
out of there.
There you go.
Richard, yeah. Sorry, we lost you for about a minute, Richard.
That was probably the worst minute that I delivered. So good for that. I don't know where I left you. I'll just wrap it up quickly that there's that link to the School Circles film. It's about 6 democratic schools in the Netherlands. And if we imagine them with a lot of energy focused around them towards the idea of building local learning ecosystems, then we can start to imagine public education for all, something that serves everybody, and built on the idea of the rights-centric education, which is being defined, articulated, and to be officially released, I believe, November 20th, which is the day that celebrates the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So it's the idea that if we get human rights right with young people, we basically heal society. We're doing it wrong with kids, which is creating a lot of the problems that we're facing today. So you may have got some repeat in there. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you for sharing that, Richard. That's very insightful. Joy, we'd like to hear from you as well. I see you have your hand up.
A challenge to the group or a question, and it might not be well received, but it's something that working with kids from kindergarten through 12th grade who have, like I said, behaviors and diagnosis. My wonder is, all right, my wonder is in this modern world, we are not ever made to feel uncomfortable, right? So in this modern world, I can create, even at my old age, a virtual world in which I am comfortable. Now, I work out every day. I eat a healthy diet. So, and I understand through a neuroscience lens, the only way I grow is to be uncomfortable. But I know I have a lot of peers my age who do not believe that. They cannot do a diet. They cannot work out because if I'm uncomfortable, I shouldn't be. Life is to be comfortable. And the modern world tells us, don't feel big feelings. Don't feel, so if you're sad, your dog dies, I go on TikTok or Instagram and suddenly I have depression. If I'm anxious about a test coming up, I go on TikTok or I go on a social media platform. And what we do know is there's some really cool research that says the longer you spend on these social platforms, the more you identify with mental health disorders, which I think, again, I know this is not popular. I think this is crowding the mental health pipeline because we have so many students who might feel anxious about a test and suddenly they have generalized anxiety disorder. They have kids who like things neat and tidy and suddenly I'm OCD. We have kids who are angry and suddenly I have rage or conduct disorder because I want to challenge an adult. And my wonder to the group is, and let me say this before anyone comes at me and finds me in Alabama and hunts me down. I am not saying mental disorders do not exist. They do. I'm just wondering if our mental world, and I don't want to say soft, has made us not embrace that sometimes life sucks. Sometimes I'm angry and it doesn't mean I have a disorder. It's if it takes precedence, right? 6 months. Sometimes I'm sad. And I'm gonna throw a personal piece in here, which made me realize this. My daughter was valedictorian, bright, beautiful kid. She is engaged to a military man. He's got deployed. She says, Mom, I think I have a toxic interdependent relationship with my fiance. I said, baby, why? She said, because he's gone and I can't sleep. I can't eat. She said, I'm just sad. I said, sweetie, he's been gone 1 week. She said, I know something's wrong. I said, you're human. You miss him. It's called I miss you. She said, no, there's a diagnosis. No, dust it off, write a letter. You're fine. And I'm wondering, and I'm sitting here looking at this child like, who did I raise? I'm wondering if we just don't let kids feel the feels, that maybe our mental health piece wouldn't be as big and we could get to the kids that need us the quickest. And if I have just got kicked out of the group, I'm sorry, but that's just something. Sometimes we just got to feel the feels and they suck. Okay, sorry.
Thank you for sharing. Absolutely not kicked out. Everyone is welcome and all opinions matter. Let's hear from someone who hasn't had a chance to speak yet. I see we have 3 hands up and then we'll go to everyone else. Shauna, would you like to go ahead?
Hi everyone, I'm Shauna. I'm in the UK. I'm Irish. Yeah, just what you were saying there, Joy, is really, really interesting because I work at a university level, so I'm super interested in the whole process. And there's a couple of things. The first thing is like when it comes to things like presentations, anxiety. I have anxiety. I can't do it. But when I'm also a psychotherapist, and when I dig into it, it's normal anxiety. It's like it's normal to feel anxious when you stand up in front of people. So it's kind of working with that. So there's a lot of the work I do is around normalizing emotions even at a university kind of level. But the other thing that I'm super interested in is, I'm old enough that I remember a time when the TV switched off at a certain time of night and the internet stopped and everything stopped. And I'm super interested in this kind of world that we live in where nothing stops, where, there are kids up till, stupid hours of the morning playing games and stuff like that, and their mums don't even know they're doing it, and they can't switch off. And when they came home from school, bullying stopped, but now it comes to their home with them. And I'm super interested in how the fact that there's not those boundaries anymore impacts young people's well-being. And I'm also interested in like how, for example, the pandemic, completely changed people's lives. I think sometimes for the better in some ways, but we have young kids in school now who weren't didn't have that young level of socialization when they were toddlers and stuff. So I just think culture plays a massive part in it. And I think that feeds into what you said there, Joy, about how there is a culture in our younger people now that anxiety is an abnormal emotion. No, it's not. It's a perfectly normal emotion. If it's out of control, then let's look at some quite simple techniques to help you manage it. But there is that kind of mental health kind of culture, which has its massive positives, but also its problems as well. And then there's other things around neurodiversity. I'll not go on, but I have a lot of interest in neurodiversity. And for example, at the university, spaces are all big spaces with lots of people in them. And, you know, so do we have problems with the students with neurodiversities have problems because of our culture and our way we do things that they wouldn't have had if we had those quiet spaces and smaller rooms and that sort of thing. So it's quite interesting, I think.
Definitely. And thank you for sharing that with us, Shauna. It's really great to hear your perspective. I'm not sure who had their hand up first, Corinne or David, but you guys could.
David, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really like the way that Joy put it out. And that to me, that's simply the diversity of the range of how a human being can be. And there's a lot of diversity in lots of different ways, right? And I think the big problem is standardization, right? Is designing schools for the average student. The average student doesn't exist. The average person doesn't exist. What there's a range of people that learn in different ways, that approach situations in different ways, that have different strengths, different weaknesses, different interests. But then it comes this question as well of what happened. Then we do everything comfortable so that no one feels threatened, no one is pushed out of the comfort zone, which is also a challenge that Joy was sharing. And the way I see it is similarly to what Richard was sharing. Being pushed out of your comfort zone, for me, it's about being able to, on one hand, being able to learn about yourself, being able to figure out how you learn best, how to manage your own emotions, how to understand yourself. And then everyone else, because you're not alone in the world. And therefore, democratic education, community learning, being able to solve conflicts, to figure out, okay, if we have this certain time to be together, and there are certain objectives academically that we have not set, that are set by governments, by different structures that are beyond us. How can we arrange ourselves so that we can make the most out of this space and can really benefit from it, for instance? But yeah, this is how I see kind of diversity of people. That's beautiful. Let's keep it. Let's not make everyone the same standardized robot. And everyone has some sort of problem, right? Because then you don't fit in the system. And technology comes in as a massive, as Shona was saying, culture changes, the way that the amount of time that children spend playing in the streets with others, socializing, has shifted dramatically. Now everything is within a phone. And this is something that simply can be part of the conversation as well. Last summer, I was in the UK, because at Evolving Education, we go to different countries, look for the most innovative schools, and learn from them. Go there with our camera, ask tons of questions. So we went to Summerhill School, which is one of the oldest democratic schools in the world, and asked them how they deal with this. And he said, well, we didn't. The children did. There was a working group that sat down to discuss about social media. I was amazed about how much information they gather about the impact on social media and technology. They decided some rules, they tested, they didn't work out, then they changed them. That's an amazing process. And the process itself, I actually don't care about the rules, but if they learn how to manage this, how to manage change, how to manage community living, how to manage the collective decision-making, those are amazing skills that I want to see more in this world, particularly in a peaceful way. Yeah, I'm really excited as well as Richard to expand more these different ideas of youth empowerment, community learning as well, because I think there's also these two edges, right? I think globally, most of the guidelines from the European Union, from UNICEF, from lots of big organizations are towards learner-centered education, right? It's about focusing on the learner, technological tools for personalized learning and so on. And this is fantastic in terms of finding out how you learn best. But then there's the other aspect of community building. You're not alone in this world. It's not just your own ambition and objectives, but you live in a planet with limited resources and with lots of people with diverse needs that you need to understand and interact with as well. And is where all these other practices can really be quite interesting. I'm gonna have to head to another call, but I'm gonna share in the chat some contact details, and happy to be in contact with all of you.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
David. Would you guys mind if we did a quick screenshot, a quick picture? All right, Miranda, are you ready? Here's Miranda. I don't know what to do. Did you get it? All right, thank you, Miranda. Oh no. Okie dokie, Jamal, we'd love to hear from you.
I'm just taking it all in. I appreciate everybody being here. I was thinking of sharing, but since you put me on the spot, I will, because I didn't think it would be appropriate. But I ended up watching this video of serious gang members. I mean, like these are hardened fellows that I wouldn't even think would be in school. And they were loving on each other. And I was so aghast. Did you see that, Joy? I was like, whoa. And I shared it like crazy because it was just so phenomenal. This one pastor, he was a pastor, and he was like, effing this and come over here and give this end some love. And everybody put the L. And I watched these videos. And I was just like, whoa. The connections. Richard was talking about some of the personal connections in one of our prior meetings, and I was like, how beautiful is it that you have students, kids, picking up these concepts and doing it within themselves. This wasn't a school.
Oh, my bad. I just muted you. I'm so sorry. I'm
I'll
sorry.
be quiet.
No, carry on.
but
I'm so sorry. I was trying to lower your hand. Keep going, please. Sorry about
it's okay. Oh, I had a hand up? I didn't mean to
did.
have a hand.
that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry
Well,
about that.
I was done, but thank you. And God is great because I didn't intend to put the hand up, but I thought that was really cool. And I'm glad Joy could say that because, I mean, could identify with that video because it was just amazing. The idea that these gangbangers had decided to pick up on some of that relational, I love you, it's okay to be upset. It's a lot of what we were talking about, and I'll leave it there. But it was beautiful. It was just amazing. The world is getting better, is my thought from that. And we're helping.
Here. Yep. All right, Cranberry, love to hear from you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I relate to so much of what everybody said. Of course, when it comes to the question of neurodiversity, I think it's very important that we move back to recognizing individuality. And that's something that we're headed towards by bringing in self-directed learning approaches to schools as well. So that's one way of addressing that, to normalize it. What David had also referred to is because we are trying to fit the kids into a general approach rather than understanding their individual needs, that's where the problem stems from, So if we open up the system to allowing children to decide, of course, providing the learning environment to do that, and that comes through collaborative efforts, through the ecosystems that we're building, through not just the teachers, but the families and the community as well. And just creating that mindset of, positive learning and continuous learning. And of course, I love the concept of, or what when you spoke about the therapy dog, and Angel added to that about grounding, and the importance of not just, for us to be able to distinguish physical grounding from cognitive and emotional grounding, and spreading the skills to be able to do that. So it's not just recognizing that grounding is important, not just literally, but as a neuroscientist, you would understand the importance of being able to convince yourself and come up with ways to ground yourself emotionally and mentally as well. I think also you mentioned the prisoner dealing with people who've been considering whether they've been wronged by society or whether they have wronged society is something that's going to be up for debate always. But we have to understand that we've created the environment for the crime to take place. So are we addressing the cause, or are we just, treating it symptomatically, treating the outcomes of what the system is? So we do need to change the system intrinsically. That starts by spreading the awareness that change is required. And it's not necessarily a systemic change. The tools that we're talking about as well are very important, but it's more of an attitudinal change. And even changing attitude or developing a better attitude is a skill that we need to impart as part of our programs. I think, yeah, there were a lot of other talking points I wanted to touch upon, but if anybody else has something to add, that'd be great.
Looks like Richard has his hand up, and after that, we're gonna try to be mindful of everyone's time. So I just have one last quick whiteboard voting, and then we'll wrap it up. Richard, you go ahead, sir.
I'm in various groups like this and aware of, as you would be, of so many others like ourselves that are looking for real change in education. And the thing that I find most promising right now is the possibility of us uniting through the Learning Planet Institute and its partnership with UNESCO. UNESCO is doing some really fine work, and it's worth looking at their documents to see where we can pick up on what they're doing, and taking advantage of that platform that they're providing us. January 24th, International Day of the Child, is the date around which they center their annual festival. And I've been urging Amber and the others who are putting together EIE to consider doing a presentation then, because the orientation there is towards ecosystems of community learners. And what EIE is attempting to do, from my perspective, is cultivate that kind of thinking within a community, and leading towards the idea of schools not being these places that trap kids behind the walls for a good part of the day, sitting most of the time, but rather that they're actively learning within the communities. And how do we make that happen? There's a lot being developed in that direction. And so the more people that we can get focusing around this one initiative with the Learning Planet Institute and UNESCO, I don't see a better place for us to unite globally. And if we can do that in big numbers, then we get noticed globally, that this becomes a conversation. And the main direction of that initiative is to create a global debate about a new social contract for education. We've got to get people talking about this before they'll have any idea of what they can do with it. So great reference there if you have time to follow up with it. Thanks, Amber.
Absolutely, Richard. Thank you for sharing. And we're so excited about the Learning Planet Institute and all they have going in January. We're really hopeful to get on board with that. Okay, I'm opening up the board. Let me know if you guys can see this. Can everyone see this? Right, let's see. Select all objects except that one. All right, so you guys get up to 3 votes. And if you would help us prioritize our focus for upcoming projects and meetings, please vote for up to 3 options that you believe will have the most impact. And feel free to, if you don't see anything on here that you think is relevant, feel free to type in something else in the chat. We're just eager to hear your input.
So as somebody who provides a lot of professional development, and I do think there's a place for professional development, what I find is missing, and I don't know how to put this in the chat without just wanting to give this, is the follow-up or the coaching, walking alongside the teacher as she's implementing, or he's implementing what they wanted to learn from the PD. Because I go to amazing professional development, and then on the drive home, I'm like, yeah. And the next morning, I'm like, yeah. And then the next night, I'm like, what? And so, the brain hates change. So to have that partner, that coach, and a lot of schools just don't have the money. I'm blessed that I'm actually am a coach for teachers. So I work with them on their goals, and most of the time it's neuroscience related, but a lot of schools don't understand the power of coaching. Like, you can give PD, but most people don't have that discipline to take PD and click it into practice immediately and carry on. Does that make sense? So I don't know how to put that down.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you for sharing, Joy. And that's why at Evolving in Education, I believe we are trying to map our professional development kind of in with the lesson planning, to where it coordinates with the curriculum, if you would. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end this. Let's see if we got any. All right, we got votes. Cool. So it looks like our top choices are improving student engagement strategies and increasing community involvement in education. That's something we are passionate about here at Evolving in Education. So I'm just going to take a quick screenshot of this. All right, guys. Well, I greatly appreciate all of your time. Be mindful of everyone's time. We're going to wrap it up, and we invite you back for the next one. So thank you for all your contributions today. Your insights are instrumental in driving forward our mission to transform education for the better. Together, we can create lasting change and empower the next generation. And join us on the last Tuesday of every month. And as always, thank you for your interest in education. All right, guys. Well, I thank you again.
Thank you. Let's keep the discussion going.
Yeah, let's. If
Great
anyone would like
work,
to share
EIE.
thank you. If anyone would like to share their email in the chat, you're free to. I'm saving the chat, and I'll be sharing a summary of this meeting. And we look forward to seeing you all next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Great job, Amber. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.